Well, hello there. My name is Mark Miles, and as you know, it's all about the results we get in the training room, folks. And if you're watching this channel, you are probably a coach, a mentor, or somebody that trains people for a living, or someone that runs their own workshops, whether you're in the corporate space, whether you are an entrepreneur, whatever your role may be. It's all about how do we accelerate and enhance our results that we get when we're transferring that knowledge. Now, today's video, I want to talk to you about something that probably we haven't ever talked about, or you haven't ever talked about, but that is the topic of energy calibration. Energy calibration. That's a bit of an interesting concept or an idea you may not have heard about, but essentially, we need to appreciate that energy has a bit of a spectrum in it. And in order to actually get people to learn something, there needs to be a sense of movement and action created in a room. Now, here's the thing, folks. Depending on how many people you have in your training group or in your workshop, we need to be able to calibrate the energy that you bring as a trainer, facilitator, whatever you want to call yourself, to the energy size in the room. Because what happens is if you don't match the energy, people will look at you a little bit strangely. Here's what I mean. If you come into a group of maybe 2 or 3 people and you are over the top, like super enthusiastic, and you have more energy that you are bringing than would be normal for that circumstance, people will look at you a little bit strangely. And I can speak from personal experience on this, where I have been overly enthusiastic, overly zealous, overly, committed and convicted about a topic, but it got to a point where the size of the group was too small for the amount of energy that I actually brought. And I don't know if you can relate to this, maybe you've seen someone like this, but for me, I needed to learn to calibrate my energy. So smaller group, smaller amount of energy, but you still need to be able to bring a little bit more enthusiasm than would normally be kind of normal in that circumstance. But you have to not be super extreme. So what does that look like? Well, if you've got a group of 3, then your energy that you bring, ideally, if we're looking at a scale of 0 to 10, and 0 is kind of like deadpan, don't give a shit, and you're like, hello, how are we going here? Ideally, you want to, if you got a group of 3, you want to be bringing your energy to at least a 4 or a 5, right? But you don't want to be coming out at a level 10 energy, because that's going to freak them out. It's going to freak people out, right? Now, let's go to the other side of the equation. If you've got a group of 100 people in front of you, then you probably want to be bringing a level 10 energy at least, right? So you want to be bringing your full self, total, all of you, and you want to be going even a little bit more than you would normally, because energy has to transfer from you over to the audience, right? Now, there's going to be times where you want to tone it down depending on what you're talking about. Other times you want to be super enthusiastic, right? And so we need to be thinking about, where do you know that your current audience are, and where they're at, and how can you increase your energy a little bit more to get them even more engaged, even more motivated, right? Now, on the flip side, if you've got a super small group of maybe 3 or 4, we need to appreciate that we still need to be creating momentum. We still need to be getting things moving, because if we don't, it's very easy for a group of 3 or 4 to just fall into discussion. Let's talk about, let's just, regress. Let's just talk about everything that's going on in our lives and our work and, complain, bitch, and moan and all that stuff. But there still needs to be momentum. So as a trainer, you need to be able to balance, how much energy do I bring? How do I make sure that I'm not delivering too much or too little energy into the learning environment? And how do I create that momentum, particularly in small groups? Now, regardless of the size of the group, momentum is critical. And 2 simple ways that you can really create momentum very quickly is getting people to respond early in the piece, within the first minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of whatever the conversation is, whatever the workshop is, you want to be walking in with a bit of authority and getting people to take action as quick as possible. Whether that is grab a pen and write this down and getting them to write something down, or getting them to stand up and move in the room, right? Two simple things that you can do that will create momentum in the training environment and get people out of their seat, out of their mental experience, right? So, couple of things to think about there. What level what size of the group and what level energy should you bring? And try and calibrate that and get even better and even more observant around the energy that you're bringing. Because the last thing that you want as an audience participant is to be in an environment where the trainer has zero or even very little energy they're bringing. Next thing, you have to be able to, throughout your session, calibrate your energy as well. You don't want to be super enthusiastic the entire time, because people will also find that a bit of a challenge as well, right? So you want to be able to calibrate. You want to be raising it, you want to be lowering it, but you want to also keep people fully engaged, right? So energy levels are critically important to manage. And other videos I've done, I've talked about the fact that your audience's energy levels are your responsibility and will be directly tied back to how much energy do you yourself actually bring as well. So in this video, I just want to plant the seed of getting you to think about how much energy are you bringing, and thinking about the size of the group that's actually in front of you and what level of energy would be appropriate. And the most times that there'll be complaints or negative feedback, or people are just disengaged, will often directly tie back to how much enthusiasm and energy the actual trainer brings. And if you, as a trainer, it's a dry topic, but you are bringing so much enthusiasm, well, that is probably going to be a really cool experience for your learners, as long as it's not insanely over the top. Having said that, you need to think about how many people in your group and what would be appropriate. So if you've got a group of 10 people, you probably want to be bringing around a level 7, 8 level of energy to that experience, right? So here's the deal, folks. Start to think about how many people do you have in that event you've got coming up, and how much energy would be appropriate for that number. And naturally, if you're on a stage of 1,000 people, you would need to make your gestures even bigger, your voice tonality even more significant, right? So start to think about energy calibration, and that is going to be something that really takes your results to the next level. And even start to think about, what emotions are you bringing to the learning environment? On that note, folks, thank you so much for watching the video. As always, like, comment, share. Let's get this out there. And this is a bit of an advanced video. It's something that would elude most amateur presenters, trainers. But if you're really looking to go to the next level, this is something to really think about. Thanks for watching, team. We'll see you on the next one.